Now that I finished the news of the week video, which by the way, at the time of this recording, I am actually uploading that video onto my channel right now, and I have a feeling that video probably is going to get a couple of dislike and some hateful comments in the comments section, because I really took a deep dive into the whole Reggie Cannon statement about how he was disgusted that his own fans would boo him and also other players that take a knee during the national anthem. And I also took a deep dive into the whole national anthem controversy of whether or not if the national anthem should be played before every single game, or it should only be played before games that is happening on a special occasion or happening on a special holiday. But that being said, let us actually now talk about the thing that I always love to talk about on my channel, which is the preview for these two games that is going to be happening in these next couple of days. And you notice, I said there's going to be two games that I'm previewing, because originally I thought I was only going to have to preview FC Dallas versus Nashville SC. That is going to be taking place at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific tomorrow on Sunday. But if you watched my News of the Week video and you actually watched to near the end of the video and didn't actually just cheat your way by looking at the very bottom of the board in the beginning of the video, you would have noticed that MLS have officially released the schedule for those three Canadian teams, that there was definitely a lot of uncertainty of what exactly those three Canadian team is going to do once the regular season resume, and that there was a lot of rumor that talk about how they're going to be playing against each other, at least for the first phase of the regular season. And that rumor turns out to be true, and that they are going to be playing each other at least for the first phase of the regular season. And the first game out of those is going to be between Toronto FC versus Vancouver Whitecaps. That's going to be happening on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But before we actually get into this one, let's talk about the Sunday game, and the second of these three games that both of these teams are going to be facing against each other this season to make up for the games that they did not participate in the group stage of the MLS's back tournament, is FC Dallas versus Nashville SC. Dallas, of course, now their record is going to be 1-1-1, while Nashville, their record improved to 1-0-2 after they were able to get their first MLS win in club history by winning 1-0 against Dallas, and a goal from David Combe was the winner of that game in the 87th minute. Now, I expect there should be more action between both of these team now that both of them have 90 minutes under their belt. I still expect the sharpness and the passing between both of these teams are not going to be really up to date, because, again, both of these teams prior to that Wednesday match, they have not played a game in almost half a year, and that I think even though they have already played one game to get their match fitness back up to speed, I still think it's going to take maybe at least one more, or at least maybe 2 or 3 more games before they feel like they're actually back into that competitive mode of playing in a regular season. So I expect it's not going to be 100% like just kind of a peak MLS game where there's going to be some crazy action that is going to happen, but I expect there should be more than the board fest we saw in the first game. I mean, I know the first game was definitely not exciting, but that's why I kind of warned you guys when I did that preview of how I knew that game was not going to be exciting, and that it would be very lucky if we maybe get a goal out of that game, which we were pretty fortunate the fact that David Combe was able to do that in the 87th minute. And I expect Dallas to look much better in this game, because, again, despite the fact that I know Dallas fans were going to be disappointed of how their team play, you got to keep in mind that that is a team that unfortunately were kind of on the wrong end of a resort, where both teams was just trying to slog out a 0-0 resort so that they can, of course, get back to match fitness. Now, fans, speaking of which, they are allowed to attend again in this game, and that Dallas is once again selling tickets to the general public. Now, I'm not quite sure if there's going to be maybe more fans coming into this game. I know in the last game there was definitely not a lot of fans that attend that one. I don't know if they actually announced the attendance figure, but I doubt it actually was the 3,100 fans that they set as the capacity of how many fans can attend the game, because at times there was a ton of empty seats in that stadium, and I think at best I would say that the attendance was no more than 1,000 people that attended the game. And there's a reason why there wasn't a lot of people attended the game. Like, a lot of fans know that they are definitely taking a lot of risks by attending these games because of the fact that they might contract this virus, but also the fact that it was a Wednesday game. And usually midweek games, whether we're in a pandemic or not, the attendance is going to be not as much as we would see on a Sunday game. And let's also not to mention that was a very hot day in terms of that game. Like, the temperature were almost at triple digit when that game was taking place. So the heat might also play in a factor of why fans, of course, did not attend the game. But I think the main reason is probably fans don't want to take a huge risk, and kind of had to sign a waivers that FC Dallas, of course, sent to him, where, you know, if you get the virus, we are not going to be totally responsible, and that you basically, they signed this waiver so that you agreed that you're taking a huge risk of going to this game, and that you, of course, will not contract this virus once you finish attending this game. But maybe there's going to be more fans heading into this game. I mean, I think since this game is happening on the weekend, maybe there's going to be more people attending it, and maybe since people might get some reflection on some of those fans that attend the games, that might, if those fans says that it's okay to attend the games and that felt as safe as they would be when they're attending games before this pandemic, maybe there's going to be more fans that is attending this. But I don't know. We shall see what's going to happen. But one thing for sure is we're still going to see a bunch of empty seats, and that the attendance, at best, I would say, will not be anything near like 2,000 people that actually attended this one. I also wrote here Jara or Odronsic, or in other words, I can also say Jara or the Cobra, because this is something that I kind of discussed during the review, where Luchi Gonzalez definitely had a big decision in that first game whether or not if he's gonna put the Cobra in this game, or actually just gonna start Jara, the new signing, in this game to make his MLS debut. And as I said in the last game, even though Jara didn't do much in the last game, I don't really kind of want to judge him not playing very well in the first game, and said that it's not a good signing, because everybody was still trying to get back to match fitness. So you know, it'll be interesting to see whether or not maybe he's gonna stick. Maybe Luchi Gonzalez is going to stick with Jara in this game, or will the Cobra actually get the start? But either way, I think both of these guys are going to be featured in the game. But it's really the question, who is actually going to get the start, and who is probably going to come in the game as a substitute in the latter part of this one. Now, that being said, moving on into the next game. And by the way, I am once again not doing a prediction in this game, because, again, it is still very early days in terms of this fixture, and that since we're only 2 games in, again, I don't know if the players are going to be completely match fit and completely back into their sharpness, and I don't know if Dallas would maybe have a response heading into the next game, or that Nashville will maybe get some momentum after they're getting their first club win to make it 2 in a row. So that's why I'm not going to do a prediction in this game. Now, in the very next game between Toronto FC versus the Vancouver Whitecaps, both of these teams, of course, are the first team out of any team that participate in the MLS's back tournament that's going to be resuming the regular season. Toronto, of course, they have a record of 1-1-0, and technically, I should update that record, because technically, their overall record, if you count the knockout stage that they are in, I think their record is let's see, I think it's now 3-2-0, because I know they of course won the Canadian Classique, and that I think they actually need to double check in terms of their I know they won the Canadian Classique and they drew against DC United, but did they? Oh, they drew against New England. So technically their record would right now be 2-3-0, while the Vancouver Whitecaps, their record technically should be 2-0-3 right now, because they of course lost their first 2 games, but they of course won that last one against the Chicago Fire, and that was the game that ultimately got them to the knockout stage and pretty much shocked everybody, including myself, that they actually made it into the round of 16. Speaking of the round of 16, both teams, of course, got knocked out of the round of 16. And in the first two games, Toronto, of course, drew 2-2 against the San Jose Earthquake before winning 1-0 against NYCFC, while Vancouver lost 3-1 against Sporting KC at home before winning 1-0 on the road against the LA Galaxy. The Whitecaps are going to get players back that did not play in the tournament. One of the reasons why I said that the Whitecaps are pretty much just punting the football when they were playing in this tournament, and the fact that I was absolutely shocked the fact that this team actually made it to the round of 16 is because the team that they were playing was virtually just a USL team. Like, they were missing a couple of key pieces on the attack that they, of course, are going to get back. One of those key pieces is going to be Cavallini, who he's going to surely be back in this game against Toronto FC. But it's also because they were down to their third-string goalkeeper, and somehow, in some way, they still able to find a way to get into the round of 16. Now, those 5 players that, of course, missed out on this tournament, you know, this is going to be tough for them heading into this game, knowing the fact that this is going to be the first time in pretty much almost 6 months that they have actually played a single match. So they're going to be having the same experience as what these Dallas and Nashville players had to deal with in the first game, which maybe this would give a huge advantage to Toronto, because Toronto, for the most part, most of their players actually participate in the tournament, and that they should be, once again, match fitness, since it's only been a couple of weeks since they last played down in Orlando. Whereas for the Whitecaps, while they have a lot of players that probably will start in this game that play in the tournament, there's also a couple of key pieces that haven't played in a long time, and they're going to be really rusty coming into this game. In fact, if I'm Marc Dos Santos, do I actually have the guts to put almost the same squad that play in the MLS's back tournament against Toronto FC? Because you know those players are going to be more match fitness, and that, you know, if you're going to play one of your star player like Cavallini in there, you might risk the fact that they might not have a big impact to your team, but we shall see whether or not of what Marc Dos Santos is going to do. Now, another decision that I think Marc Dos Santos is going to have to make is who's going to be the starting goalkeeper in this game. I believe Crépeau is still injured with a broken hand, and that I don't think he's going to be available to start this game, which pretty much puts the question, do they think about putting Meredith, who unfortunately is not left the tournament during the beginning of this tournament to mourn, I believe it was his mother, who of course passed away, or do they go with probably one of the feel-good story and one of the most surprising young talented star that stepped up throughout this tournament in the name of Thomas Hasal. I mean, I think for me, Hasal has to get the start. Like, he was just red hot throughout this tournament, and what he did against Sporting KC and those incredible save, and the fact that a lot of people call him that is the wall of Hasal, I really think he should, of course, gets the nod. And this is nothing against Meredith, and that I think Meredith, the advantage of starting him is that he, of course, has more of the experience than what Hasal has, but Hasal is just red hot right now, and when you need to make a decision in terms of either starting a player or a goalkeeper that is in form, or a player that hasn't played with you for a while but he has the experience, I would go with the informed player or the goalkeeper. And in this case, I think Hasal should be in goal in this game, and that he definitely deserved this start if that is going to be the case. If you're Toronto, I'm pretty sure you definitely do not want to see Hasal in goal, consider of how hot he has been, and that, you know, there's been times throughout this tournament that Toronto has missed some decent chances throughout this tournament, and the last thing they need is that they're going to be faced a red hot goalkeeper where they need to be at their best in terms of finishing and able to put one past the net behind this young goalkeeper that was just out of nowhere become a sensational story in this tournament. But that being said, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these two games, and what do you think is the prediction of this game? For this one, I actually should have put a prediction box, but I'm going to say Toronto is going to win this one. Even though I know Hassel most likely is going to get the start, I think Toronto eventually is going to figure him out. And knowing the fact that Vancouver, you know, even if they do put in some of those players that did not start during the tournament, they're going to be very rusty, and I wouldn't think that they would make as big of an impact if they would be match fitness. And yeah, and for this one, I'm not going to make a prediction because, again, both of these teams are only just 2 games into the regular season ever since the pandemic, of course, or they're 2 games after the pandemic, of course, or postpone the season until just a couple of days ago. So I still have no idea how this game is going to play out and who exactly is going to win this one. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of both of these games? And again, as always, let me know in the comments below your prediction for both of these games. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I, of course, will see you guys next time.